things that I noticed then are different from the things that I notice now. And if the notes that I left myself for reading this a second time, anticipating an ego death, needing a body of work, I have said this so many times, but I have needed a body of work for my ego deaths so that I can know who I am and who I have been in the past. And so I did highlight here that he mentions St. Augustine, and I've been thinking about that. When I think about this book, I think about, I didn't know that St. Augustine wrote about ghosts. I don't remember that in his work, or I haven't read those letters or those essays, or those books, that work. I haven't noticed it because I haven't read it. Because I haven't comprehensively read everything St. Augustine. I only wanted to read St. Augustine's, it's not called Confessions, or is it called Confessions? It might be called Confessions. That's the only one I wanted to read in the first place of his. And then people said that something that I was interested in was in City of God, so I read City of God. And then people said that something that I knew was in Confessions, but other people said was in De Trinitate and was easier to quote and refer to from De Trinitate. So I trusted the scribes, I trusted the academics, and they were fucking wrong. So I've read a bunch of St. Augustine that I had never intended to ever read, because I don't like the guy. I loved Confessions, but what I learned in Confessions is that I don't like the guy. I don't want him influencing my thinking. And so I have to read him with a wall up, which means I have to read him very slowly, or I have to let myself not memorize it. So that means I'm barely paying attention. And if you're me and you're reading something and you're barely paying attention, what's the point in having read it? If you're not doing your very best to memorize it, to mnemonic it and stuff it in your brain and the filing cabinet of your brain so that you can easily sort through your brain and find what was in that book that you remember, what's even the point in reading it? To say that I have read it? Who gives a fuck? Nobody gives a fuck that some homeless guy with some college dropout, some former manager of fast food has read De Trinitate. Who gives a fuck that I've read Augustine? Exactly nobody. That's why that fucking icon that's a person is a zero. That's why. Nobody gives a fuck what I know. And I know that. But I care. I care very deeply, in fact. And so I highlighted this section where he talks about St. Augustine, and I'm already at 4 and 11, so there was no way I was talking about this in 3 minutes. That's why I went live. I read that part and read the highlighted section, and I said, there's no way I contextualize this, and I do this in fewer than 9 minutes. There's no way I do this in fewer than 3 shorts. So I'm going live. And so I find this passage. He says, when St. Augustine asserted that the dead could not return to earth, he was not questioning the reality of the existence of souls in the hereafter, but only God's willingness to allow them to appear. And now he was Manichaean in his worldview, in the way he thought, in his education. And so that means that he's not even Levantine in his thinking. He's fully Eastern. He's fully mystical in his thinking. And so in Augustine's mind, yeah, the idea that there are souls that live on the other side, and that they continue being them, just dead, that's easy for him to grasp. But I'm going to continue reading it. This writer is much better than I am. That's why I want to do it this way, because he's better than I am at talking about this. He knows the material better. All I can do is contextualize it for you and what I'm thinking about. And yeah, that's a weight for me. I would love to have this man's education. I went to get it, and I was weeded out. I was bullied out by the institution of university. I was kept from participating because, like I'm doing now, I was going to say, oh, none of this is acceptable. We have to tear the entire structure, the entire university structure down and rebuild it. But I'm saying that now. They were right to predict that about me. But they learned that by studying people like the Unabomber. By being good clerics, by generating a body of literature about what people are like. But I don't blame them. Not even a little bit. I'm angry, but I'm angry for my friends who've been hurt. And my loved ones who have been killed by the university system.